The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of KSMQ Public Service Media Incorporated or its assigns.
Today's Farm Connections is all about animals. This is our livestock episode, and we'll begin by featuring the National Barrow Show, an event of nationwide significance that takes place every summer in Austin, Minnesota. Then we'll visit a dairy farm that applies advanced technology to an age-old chore. We'll also meet the next FFA Student Leader of the Week, right now on Farm Connections.
Welcome to Farm Connections with your host, Dan Hoffman.
There's a point late in the summer when it seems that anyone involved in pork production turns their eyes to Austin, Minnesota, the long-standing home of the National Barrow Show. This World Series of swine showcases the greatest animals in the country and serves as a stage for university competitions, auctions, and a lot of great networking. Farm Connections took a behind-the-scenes look at this event to learn more about its scope and purpose.
Well, this is the 64th National Barrow Show, and this has become one of the premier swine events in the world.
This show has had a lot of impact on a lot of people in different ways, both in the collegiate level, business level, the packing industry. It's always been a very important part of it. Times change the way we do things, but it's always a joy to come to Austin, Minnesota. The National Barrow Show, first and foremost, has a tremendously long tradition in agriculture. And so I think it's important because it brings a lot of swine industry people together. I know it's a hog show, but it's also an educational event. And it's an opportunity for a lot of people industry-wise to come together at one event.
Well, this show gives an opportunity for breeders to bring their animals together, compare, and exchange ideas. The main thing is to get an opportunity to exchange ideas, look at ways to blend genetics together to improve the breeds and to benefit the whole pork industry and, of course, eventually the consumer. This is kind of a meeting of the minds of the purebred breeders in the U.S., this and some other shows where they can really get together. An event like this, they get an opportunity to see what other breeders have, maybe find animals that's going to help improve in their situation. So it's really a big opportunity for breeders to get together and exchange information, and this will benefit the total industry. And so everybody looks forward to coming here. It's a good opportunity to get together again and socialize, as well as do some work in looking at the future.
Well, the swine industry has gone from an industry that was widespread and it was a way of life to today the swine industry has evolved into a very, very efficient, well-run, well-oiled industry today that is producing pork on 1/3 less corn than we did in the early years of my lifetime. They're a very green industry today because of the efficiencies that we have in that area. Plus, new scientific technologies are continuing to be discovered that helps us to be more efficient in the use of our fuel and those inputs that go into producing pork. The other critical issue that we're addressing today is what we call freedom to operate. As regulations seem to be becoming stronger within the agriculture sector today, we want to make sure that they remain fair. We don't mind being accountable, but we don't want to be over-regulated to where someday your pork will be imported from South America or China instead of produced here. Because right now we are the world's best and cheapest source of healthy pork in the world. And our exports today are over 20%, about 21% of our production. So we have a growing world market, and we want to maintain that.
There is a lot of science involved, and particularly in the reproduction and performance in. We use a lot of computer-assisted BLUP programs to measure genetic progress, to measure the genetic value of the animal in terms of improving certain traits. So it's a combination here. You see a lot of the visual aspect where we visually observe the hogs and rate them in terms of their conformation, their soundness, maybe their muscle content, but there's also a lot in the background in terms of computer-assisted analysis of their pedigree, of how they're going to transmit performance, particularly reproduction, growth, back fat, and etc. Just like in many things in agriculture, the swine production operations have got bigger, and so in the use of things like AI have changed the production system somewhat. But again, you know, they look toward the purebred industry for the basic background of genetics, and so this is an opportunity to really work at the real basic level to establish the base genetics, and then from there we can expand it into big operations that actually produce the pork for the consumer. The animals you see here are not, you know, they're not going to be consumed by the consumer. They're going to be the background animals, the genetic base to produce the base animals that are going to go to market for consumption.
You get people from all over the United States, so you get to see the best of the best. What you gain from the shows is what type of pig they're going for. Like right now they're going with the heavy bone, wide sprung, deep rib pigs. So you want to try to accommodate what they're going for.
One thing with soundness, that means that animal is not tight muscled. And if a hog is not tight muscled, it is going to be a better quality product to eat. If you have a hog that walks stiff, he's going to be tighter muscled. He's going to probably be leaner, too lean. You're going to have tougher, harder, not as tender pork to eat, and it'll tend to dry out on you. That's why today they're concentrating on getting a little bit more fat in production into these hogs. That's why you want a little more depth in them, and that's where your bacon comes from, which is our biggest mover. Well, it starts out when pigs are little. You try and pick out your best type of pig, and you start with a good feed ration, so they grow good, get them off to a good start, and a lot of times you clip the pigs so they got a nice hair coat before they come to the show, and you say you feed them a lot of times you feed them a little special feed so they get a little more bloom on them, so they got showier than a regular market hog. And we clean them up and wash them up and spray them down so they're shiny looking and look pretty, and you go out in the ring and you guide the hog around. And you listen to the judge, watch the judge, what he does, what he wants you to do, and try and keep your hog in front of the judge so he sees your pig. And hope you get in first pen.
At this particular event, the National Barrow Show, I am auctioneering the Yorkshires and the Landrace breed. There's 3 other auctioneers actually that will be selling the other breed. The set of pigs at boars and gilts that we will sell here today, for the most part, will go into breeding herds. This is not a market set of hogs that we're going to sell. Hopefully they will be used in situations that will provide possibly a better product for the housewife, a better product for the actual commercial producer that produces the pork chops and so forth that we do consume. An auctioneer's chin is much like a fingerprint. Each one has a different identity, but in my case, it has something to do with the animal I'm selling. Say the first animal coming in will be the champion Yorkshire boar, and hopefully he'll
bring up into the thousands, but we'll probably start down around 500, 750, something like that. I get $500 bid, $750 now, $1,000 here, 12 and a half, 15, leave it to 15 where. And what I'm saying in that chant, many times we use filler words just to make the monotony go away. If I just stood up there and said 100, 200, 300, 400 all day long, it would get monotonous. So I put will you go, will you give, will you make it, bibble bum, and how many dollar. And when the bidding is coming fast, usually I'm just going dollars. I got $1,000 now, $2,000 now, $3,000. So when people say they can't understand an auctioneer, if you really listen for the numbers, and most auctioneers make it a point to try to be very clear. Because if we're mumbling, people don't understand, and people don't understand, they don't want to bid. So, but that's what auctioneering is about.
Seventh place with a score of 28.59.
One of the primary things at this event that stands out to me is we have a national swine judging contest here that attracts some 20 junior college teams, and I think this time 32 senior college judging teams. It's all about leadership development and growth within the agriculture community for these young people that are able to come, they make decisions, they have to verbally support their thinking, and it's a great event, and these young people that participate in this have an opportunity to go beyond in agriculture business farther than most.
Third place was 924, Purdue University.
It attracts so many youth today as opposed to maybe where it's been in the past. And we had young people here from probably half the states in the United States who came to exhibit, to be a part of this event. Or you take the experience of the livestock judging, that probably represented virtually all of the states of the United States. So it gives those young people an opportunity to be exposed at the highest level of education and interaction in the swine industry.
The score 29.74, Western Illinois University.
There are so many opportunities for young people today within the swine industry that I think this event allows an opportunity to bring those young people together and help them to be the researchers and the geneticists and the PhDs of the future.
I think the important thing to remember is that all of this has to work together. We have programs like PQA Plus, which is a program that focuses on the animal well-being and food safety. That's an important part of the aspect that we have here. It's much more than just the show part or the showing pigs. It's really ultimately trying to work toward, first of all, educating consumers and producers so they understand what we're doing, but then also demonstrating that it can be done, that it can be done in a responsible manner. Pigs can be cared for in the right way. We're concerned about the animal well-being. We're concerned about the ultimate food safety of the product that we're producing. So it's all of that coming together as opposed to just maybe one little show aspect. It's an entire program that's really focused on the end product that the consumer is going to take home. The ultimate goal is producing safe, acceptable food for the consumer.
We need more educational efforts put forth with the consumer that's buying our product, and so anything that we can do, all of us together in agriculture, to let the consumer know who we are, how we operate, what kind of people we are, and that we do have their interest at heart, and we do want to produce the cheapest, healthiest, best food available.
Just eat all the pork you can, because you can't get nothing better eating pork.
I've said it many times on Farm Connections, one of the keys to successful farming is innovation. That's the point of our next story, which looks at an amazing machine that's changing the complexion of dairy farming. It's a robotic milker that lets cows decide when to get milked and then employs laser-guided inflations that automatically attach and detach from the cow. This obviously has changed the dynamics of dairy operations, and to learn more about it, I visited with Brian Miller of Adams, Minnesota. Let's go!
The future of dairy is that technology is going to continue to play a role. I see robotic milking as one part of that.
It's just the way the world's going. You just need a lot more cows now to pay the bills and stuff. You can only work so hard in a day, so I think these robotic milkers are the answer to kind of free up time a little bit. Yeah, my grandpa's name was Matt, and they used to milk cows by hand, of course. Way back, my dad talked about milking 18 cows by hand, him and his brothers and his dad. And of course, machines came along later on when my dad started milking, and we eventually built up to 40 cows when I was in high school. And then we started adding a few more cows, my wife and I, and just kept growing a little bigger and bigger, and to we're roughly about 300 cows now. You just can't pay the bills with 40 cows anymore. You got to keep getting bigger. If you stay still, you're probably going to go backwards and eventually lose out. You know, you got to keep growing. Well, the robot has saved us about 45 minutes on the milking, and then of course that gives us a little more time at night to be free, and of course we're getting a little more milk also, you know, so I mean it's kind of a no-brainer, really. And my wife loves it. She's happier.
So it's a costly thing, but in the long term, in terms of saving the cow.
Yep, you should get that back.
Yep. Help her and help you. Well, I think it's helped them to be a lot more in tune with what's happening with the cows. I think they're a lot more aware of how each individual cow is doing because of the information the robot gives.
This is one thing that really helps us to really keep an eye on every individual cow out there just by going off the software and looking at that. It doesn't bother them a bit. Our mastitis is actually down in that group, I think, because of the robot, because it's the consistency of the milking. Now that they've been in there a while, they just want to be milked while they're eating the pellets. They get milked the same way every time they go in there. I mean, it's good for udder health. The cows really like the robot.
It's a long process. We can make it short if we want to, but on the average, the majority of the farms that I work with, about 2 years from the time we first start talking about it. And I've had some that have started, and in less than 4 to 5 months, there's robots installed. There is no real average install. When I talk prices, usually what I use is I use a complete price installed, meaning all the gating, all the things that you see in the milk house here. You're going to see an investment of anywhere from 170 to up to 200,000, depending on options that you choose to have with the robot. When the cow walks into the robot voluntarily, usually it's the need for energy that'll bring her to the robot. It'll ID her. It'll make sure that it's time for her to be milked. At that point, it'll start dropping feed in the bowl. Then the arm comes under, starts brushing the teats, and it remembers where the teat location is over the last 10 days or the last 30 milkings. At that point, the teats are cleaned, and then the laser will start up to detect the teats, and it measures the distance from the arm to the teat. It'll attach all four. Once milking is started, anytime the cow moves left, right, forward, or back, the arm is going to move with her because she's standing on a floor that is a scale that has 4 load cells in. The arm will follow her. At the same time, the cow is being weighed, so it will tell us if the cow is taking weight off too fast or putting weight on too fast, and then we adjust her ration accordingly. If she's pulling weight off too fast, it could be a sign that she's possibly getting sick. Each quarter is milked individually, so when it's completed, it'll pull that one off. When the last one comes off, the laser will light up again and find each teat and will spray each teat individually again. Comes out, goes to a jetter position where it is back flushed and clean for the next cow to come in. The gate opens, the cow exits, ready for the next cow. This goes on continually, 24 hours a day. About 7 to 8 cows per hour get milked. We look for an average of anywhere from 160 to, I see Brian has been up to 190 milkings per day per robots. During the milking process, the milk goes down through the hoses. It goes through a box which is called the MQC, which is a milk quality control box. At that point, it's looked at with 3 different colors of light. One is looking for conductivity, the other is looking for fat, and the other is looking for protein. If it does show up with a high conductivity, that milk will, depending on the level of conductivity, that milk may not go to the tank. Then it gets put into what we call a milk for use bucket, which is used for calf milk, or if you choose to dump it down the drain. If a cow is detected with anything else, or even if you have a treated cow that you had to treat her for anything, a number of days her milk is separated out until you send a sample to the plant and they tell you that her milk is good, then they'll allow you to, then you put the milk back in the tank again. At that point, the milk is pumped to the milk house. In the milk house, it'll go through a filter first, and then after that it goes through a plate cooler, which we bring quite a bit of the temperature down on the milk. Every other day, the milk hauler comes, picks up the milk, takes it to the plant, and it's either bottled or made into cheese, made into ice cream. What's very interesting is some older farmers that have been, milk cows all their lives, and they'll stand back and they'll watch this thing attach, and they'll watch everything go, and they'll watch more cow after cow after cow come through. And the one thing old guys will say is, gee, if they'd have had that when I was growing up, or I'd still be walking, instead of my knees hurting.
All this technology gives that much more information, as well as takes away some of the tasks that take time without the technology, and allows them to improve. So whichever aspect of technology they're incorporating, I think it's going to make them better farmers.
Well, I think it's just the way the world's going. These kids are a lot more computer savvy than us our generation, really. And I think like this robot will, they'll just tune into it a lot better. And I think it's more appealing to the younger generation. I have a son that's involved and 3 daughters. And I think it's just more appealing to them to have a more automated system of milking cows, more appealing to them.
KSMQ congratulates our FFA Student Leader of the Week, Lauren Servick, 2010-2011 President of the LeRoy-Ostrander FFA Chapter.
In 7th grade, I knew I'd been working on my family's farm, and that kind of led me to the FFA organization. I knew going into it that it was a farming organization, and I thought I would enjoy that. And once I got into the organization, I learned there's a lot more to it, and that's probably what kept me active in it. I got very involved right from the start. I knew what the FFA could do for me, so I went right at my activities, and I really enjoyed the judging teams. I joined floriculture, dairy cattle. I did many speaking events, farm bureau discussion, but my favorite was probably floriculture. It's a really fun thing to learn. It's flowers, and it's something you can actually take with you off into life. That's why they call them career development events. It's a little base knowledge that I have now that if I wanted to go into floriculture, I could. And we did very well. I competed at state 3 years, and I was the top individual this last year for the region. Going even to a small town like Leroy, you see the generation gap between people knowing and not knowing about FFA and agriculture, and I think it's our job as FFA members to bridge that gap. And I've kind of embraced that opportunity. I love to tell people about agriculture and what the FFA is doing, because if I don't, they're not going to be informed. They're not going to make informed decisions when it comes time to buying their food. I actually have 2 uncles that run a dairy farm. They milk about 500 cows over by Wyckoff Fountain area. And my job is to get up at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning and go over and milk the cows. Some of the things I do, I feed calves, I bring up pens, I actually milk the cows, feed the cows. I follow instructions of vaccinations, feeding regimens, and I'm kind of the person that does whatever everybody else doesn't want to do, some of the dirty work, but that's kind of where it all starts, and you understand that that's where your place is. And I like my job, I like what I do. A lot of people complain, oh, I have to go work at the gas station. Well, I love my job, working on the farm and getting my hands dirty, and at the end of the day, it's a nice thing to see that you did a job and you did it well, and you get to do it all over again tomorrow. I'm going up to the University of Minnesota studying nutrition in the fall, and I'm really excited because the FFA does a lot of events and organizational things at the University of Minnesota, and that allows me to get involved still. But on the other side, I won't be in the competitions, I'll be helping run the competitions. So it's something I really want to give back to the organization that did a lot for me, and I think that's going to be a big thing for me to do. And then, like I said, running for state office is kind of a goal that I've set out there. I can't imagine not spending my career somewhere involved in that, whether it's a vet or actually being a farmer or a nutritionist. It's something I just can't leave, and I think that's a lot of what's happened for my future is I've fallen in love with agriculture, and it's something I just can't leave behind.
Thank you for joining us on this episode. Until next time, I hope you'll take the time to get out in the country and make your very own farm connections.